Hey guys, it's Matt. Today, we're going to talk about how to interview a property manager, the things you really have to bring up when you're interviewing a property management company that's going to manage your own real estate asset. So, here's why I'm qualified to speak on this. I've been a property manager of my own assets for the last 10 years. Primarily, I manage my own stuff. I manage a few properties for other people, but we don't do too much of that. But we've been managing our own portfolio, which is over 100 units of real estate right now. And we've learned a ton about what it takes to properly manage real estate. So we are about to do a deal that's 2 hours away from my office. So we're buying a 49 unit apartment building that's a good ways away. It's just not something that we could manage in house. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to have to manage the maintenance staff from that far, or send my leasing agent or send my people 2 hours one way, or have to build that entire team just for one building in a new location. So I've decided I'm going to outsource the property management for this asset. I'm really excited. I'm also a little nervous because it's a new territory for us. We've managed our own assets all the way up till now. So I made myself a list. I normally don't have notes during my videos, but this is important, and these are my notes that I had during my call. So these are some things that you as as investors and potential hirers of a property manager really ought to bring up, because I came at this list from my perspective as a property manager on what I think it is to be an effective manager of real estate. So here we go. So real simple. How many employees do you have? And I compared that to how many units they manage. This property management company had 243 units in management, and they had 3 employees, which I thought to be a pretty good ratio. Maybe a little short on the employee side. Maybe they could go for one more. They did say they outsource all their maintenance to a third-party maintenance company, so that maybe that's a good equation. But I still think that, and he mentioned this on the phone without me even prompting him, that he was looking to hire another guy or another person if they did take on the management of this building. So how many employees they have? You know, if it's a one-person operation managing 1,000 units, be concerned. You know, make sure that it seems like the right amount of work for the labor force that they have. I alluded to this already, but ask, are they doing the maintenance in-house? We do the maintenance in-house for our company, but you ask if they're doing it if they're outsourcing the maintenance, and if they are they marking up those maintenance bills, and if so, by how much? So that means if Joe the plumber goes out and fixes a plumbing leak in one of your apartments for $150, is that property management company going to charge you $400? Are they going to charge you an agreed upon markup? Are they going to just pass the bill along? This management company I talked to, he said primarily he just passes the invoice along, doesn't mark it up. That's great. So that's something that's exciting. So how many employees and how do they handle maintenance on their properties? Real simple. What's the management fee? You always want to ask that, and of course it's probably pretty straight up, is what are your fees? And you ask them if it's negotiable, but most importantly, this is really what that question is, you ask them what it includes, and ask them to see a copy of their management contract so that you can review what's included for that fee. This company, of course, does rent collections. They do leasing for a fee, and and included in that leasing fee is collecting applications, taking the application fees, screening tenants, doing leasing, and everything like that. They also take emergency phone calls from tenants. They do all those types of things, all included, and they file evictions and all that stuff. Everything you would want to see done for the management of your real estate. So. You also want to ask what the add-on fees are. Again, leasing, that's a commission. You ask that. This property manager, which I'm not happy with, and I'm probably going to negotiate this one, is if the tenants are late, there's a late fee. The property manager is keeping the late fee. I don't like that. I've seen other management companies, or I've heard of other management companies where they split the late fee with the owner. If the rent's late for me, if I'm receiving it late for me to pay my bills, I want compensation for that lateness, so I want a late fee, or at least a partial late fee. So that's a negotiation point. But this guy's contract says that he keeps the entire late fee. So make just little stuff like that can add up. Ask that. You want to ask how they're managing their portfolio of real estate. Are they using a rental software? Are they using something like Buildium or Rent Manager or Appfolio or something like that? Or are they just using QuickBooks? Are they using Excel? I mean, I've met plenty of folks that manage real estate on their own that are using Excel. Salute, God bless, do that on your own. I don't want you managing my real estate doing that. So I want to know what programs you're using. There's very affordable real estate management software out there that people can take on. You want to know what that is. You want to know if that software has a client login, meaning that me as the owner can log in and see who paid their rent this week, how are collections going? How are my work orders going? You want to look into that software to see if it has to look to see how things are going at any given time, not take the property manager's word for it. So that's something else you want to consider. You want to ask them this, again, it's not something you think about, but as a property manager, I think about this. What are your screening terms when you screen a new tenant? What do you look for? This guy gets 3 times the rent in gross income. That's what he looks for. So if the rent's $1,000, he looks for the tenant to be making $3,000 in gross income per month before he would accept them. He wants a 600 credit score, and also there's some things around the perhaps criminal background or evictions and things like that may come up too. So that's good to know, because you want to know that's who's going to be living in your property with regards to credit and all those other things. So you want to know what their terms are for accepting tenants, and because that's what they're going to fill your property with. You ask them. I asked about preventative maintenance. How often do you preventative maintenance? This guy does it once a quarter. I like that. So you ask if they even do it. If they're like, what is that? I'm not even familiar with preventative maintenance. Be careful. Ask them. I asked what their eviction fees were, and then this is the last thing that I'll bring up, guys. And it sounds funny, but just you want to ask, how many clients do you have in collection right now? What's your collection ratio? What are your delinquency ratios? The reason you want to know that is that's going to be the ratio for your property too. So meaning how many of your 243 units that they have are in collections right now? How many of them are delinquent? How many evictions did the guy? This guy had 3 evictions on 246 units last year. His collection rate, his delinquency rate is less than 5%. And this is today's April 6th. When I talked to him, 5% of his rent was in arrears. 95% of his rent, according to him, had been paid by April 6th. And this is the last thing. He asked him how they're handling rent collection. Are they doing it all cash? Are they taking checks? Are they using a check scanner to process rents? Or are they using what a lot of landlords are using now, online rent payments, ACH, credit card, payment through the website? That's what he has. They can pay on his website. The guy told me 75% of his tenants pay online. That's awesome. I love that. And that's one of the reasons why it's probably my highest mark on my scorecard for this guy. So those are the points. I know I rattled a ton off, so if I went too fast, just watch it again and write them all down. But these are all considerations that I had when I was interviewing a property management company, and I hope that you're able to take these key points to heart when you interview yourself a property management company for your real estate. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions, or if you have anything that I missed or anything you want to talk about. I'd love to get a good dialogue going with you. Thank you. Have a great day.